Welcome to the Secrets to Mindful Health podcast, where we explore the hidden truths of wellness in all its forms. From physical and mental health to spirituality, join me, your host, Beth Warren, at Nourished by Beth on Instagram and TikTok, a registered dietitian for over a decade and single mom of 6, as I share my personal journey overcoming challenges towards self-love and wellness. Together with my guests, we will inspire and motivate you to prioritize your well-being and create a life of balance and fulfillment. Let's embark on a transformative journey towards a healthier, happier you. I'm glad you're here. Today's episode, we are speaking about bare all breastfeeding, the good, the bad, and the beautiful truth with Tamari Jacobs. In this episode, we are going to get honest and unfiltered about the realities of breastfeeding with Tamari. We'll explore the highs and lows, the challenges and joys, and the raw, beautiful truth of the breastfeeding journey. Tamari Jacobs, who I know well, is a certified lactation counselor, wife, mom of 3, and founder of One with a Pump. She has helped thousands of moms learn how to pump better, and she is on a mission to help every mom become a confident mother pumper. Why does that sound like a curse? Through her, I love it, mother pumper.
That's right.
Through her free resources, live workshops, educational courses, and consultations. Welcome, Tamari.
Oh, thank you, Beth. Thank you so much for having me. I have so been looking forward to this, and I'm happy that we're finally able to make it happen. I wanted to talk with you a while ago, and when two moms and business owners make something work, that's it. Like,
I know. I love it's like,
we
oh
made
yeah, we're
it
gonna do
happen.
this. And then 8 months later, we did
We made it happen. I woke up this morning. 2 of my kids were sick. I lost my voice, and then I don't know what happened. I was like, you know what? We are
We're
doing this.
still doing this. I
It's
know. And
fine.
it's like a mom life of there's really just no time to get sick, unfortunately, even though all my
It
other
doesn't matter.
podcasts are about taking that time for yourself. But this one is
Exactly.
about getting it done.
I love it.
First
I
of all,
love
I
it.
have to point out your shirt because we are also going to be on YouTube and it's Cool Moms Club. So I love
Let's,
I love a subliminal
I
message.
very specifically wore this shirt today, just so you know. I
I'm
had it
psyched.
on.
I want it because I like to think I'm part of Cool Moms Club.
Yes.
So I wanted to really have you on. I love watching you on Instagram. I love
Thank
my
you.
guests on here who are so authentically themselves in themselves and in what they do with others. And I thought you were a great option for this because I breastfed 6 kids and I wish I knew you 6 kids ago. And I did not.
I love that. The biggest thing that I hear when I meet people is, I wish I would have met you X amount of years ago. And I say, I know, and I'm so happy that I'm here now. That's like always, that's
That's
the,
yes.
because like I wish I knew me 6 years ago, but I'm so happy that like new moms won't have to go through it. So at
Yeah.
least for that.
Yes, no, thank God for that because I feel it literally certain things related to pregnancy, breastfeeding to me after 6 kids and counseling moms with nutrition and also hearing all their
Yeah.
stuff with depression, this and that, is
Yeah.
that certain things should really be mandatory. In the
Yeah.
sense where the government should pay for it, but
Right.
it
Agreed.
should be
Agreed.
mandatory, like pelvic floor PT. Okay, I had to learn 6 kids later, like you're not okay,
It's
and
really crazy that like people have to shell out their own money for this, and that just becomes another barrier in them not wanting to do it. And then it becomes like, okay, so am I going to spend the money on this, or am I going to suffer? And what's interesting is that, number one, I just said this in a workshop that I gave, I am the most pro formula lactation professional that you will ever meet. I think that formula is absolutely amazing. I think it has a huge place in this world. I also think that breastfeeding, which is pumping and nursing, is also incredible. What I find interesting is that the government is willing to pay for formula, but they are not willing to pay for any education, in which case would help someone not have to use money for formula. It doesn't make any
mm,
sense, Beth. It doesn't
right.
make any sense.
Right. It doesn't, so much of the world in that world doesn't.
But let's add that to the list of other things,
Let's
right?
add it to the list. I mean, I'm hoping with just more education and things, people can just keep advocating. You
Exactly.
really have to be your own advocate, even in the hospital setting. So my first experience with a child
Yeah.
and breastfeeding and the lactation consultant is she told me I had inverted nipple. Well, we're getting into it, everyone. This is a
Let's go, baby.
breastfeeding
Say it
conversation.
all. Say
We
it
said
all.
raw unfiltered. I had inverted nipples which is very normal, especially with
Very
your first
common.
kid. By the way, after the
Very
first,
common.
that was it. They were popping out. It was
Oh,
just
that's
the first
hysterical.
kid.
Yeah, sometimes that will happen. So yeah,
Yes, but
it's
the
so common.
first, and it was very hard to get her to latch and all
Yeah,
that. And the lactation consultant told me to wear, what are they called? It's like
a nipple shield.
a nipple shield.
It's
Now,
basically a piece of plastic that
mhm,
goes on top of your breast that kind of, it's not, it doesn't look like a bottle, but it just creates a nipple for them.
yes. So in theory it was good, except I don't know. I found these plastic ones. You know, if you tell me to get something, I'm gonna get like the gold. I'm gonna like bring out the
Yeah,
limo. Okay, I'm gonna find. So I got these
exactly.
like plastics with the plastic cover, and then I remember my milk would come in, and
Yeah.
it would drain, it would pool in the cover
I'm
of
so
the.
sorry. We're about to have an incoming, guys. Hold on.
Oh, that's okay. That's all normal. We're all in the cool
Hold on. Let
moms
me give
club
him a hug
here.
of a Holly.
That's
Hold on.
okay. Oh, maybe they want to be in the screen. This is mom life in real time, which I'm all about. So cute. I will continue my story anyway because Tamari is gonna come back on. But my so there was a it was like a nipple shield, and the milk from my boob will pour in. I love what's going on right now. It's so cute. The milk. By the way, I show behind the scenes of my Instagram all the time. I just posted a story today behind my reels. My Instagram's at Nourished by Beth, and in the reel they had I showed behind the scenes of me smiling and eating my food so happily. Tamara, you'll appreciate the story. I posted on my story today on Instagram. You should look, where it was, the sound was on one of the clips that I put into a reel of me enjoying my food and smiling like this is the best dinner ever. And I just posted it because I was 20 seconds of doorbell ringing. A neighbor came to come over. Do you want to wear a swimsuit? The dog was barking because it needs to be taken out. And I banged on the window for my child not to hit my kid with a hose. All in that 15-second sitting of me smiling and being there with my dinner.
It is so insane. It is so insane.
Yeah. And
My
then, by
own
the way,
kid.
imagine breastfeeding, which is what we're getting back to. I breastfed with a
Exactly.
child on my boob doing what you just had to do,
Yes, yeah, and
running
that's the
around
thing.
the
Like
house.
when you have your first baby, you have no idea what you're doing. So that comes with its own challenges of breastfeeding. Of like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but at least you're just focusing on that baby. Then it's
Yeah.
like you have a second kid and a third kid, and sometimes you know what you're doing, or sometimes what happens is that you do really well with the first kid or two, and then the third kid just won't latch. So
Yeah.
now you're trying to get this kid to latch, or you're trying to pump, while that kid is screaming and that kid is on top of the TV and that kid is, it's like you can literally plan for anything. My children, like I had them downstairs, I bought them a new box of Play-Doh, but they knew I was doing this podcast
Oh, yeah.
and they were like, we are coming upstairs right now.
Yeah, just wait till they're older. Then they ask you things on purpose while you're doing that. I didn't know where my son was for 3 hours because he asked me to go somewhere while I was on a work call that he knew. I warn everybody. I'm like, guys, I need 20 minutes. I have a work call.
It's
He
just
asked
20
me.
minutes.
Yeah, he's 13 and he just, thank God he was safe. I'm like, hello,
Right.
this is a safety issue. It's not, it was, they get very smart. So, yes.
It's
But I was
true.
telling you about the nipple shield. So the milk would pool in the shield. I didn't know that you're not supposed to have it on 24/7, or even if you are. I got huge infections and blisters,
You're
and I didn't know it was a
kidding.
blister. And I'm sitting there in excruciating pain, thinking this is what breastfeeding feels like.
Oh my god. Yeah, because everyone's telling you, number one, everyone's telling you to tough it out. Everyone's telling you that they think that, this is exactly, how it's supposed to be. The beginning is hard. I say that the biggest problem is the incorrect expectations about what is actually supposed to be. When I tell people, or when I say on my Instagram that you are not supposed to be pumping in pain, it's as if I just said the most like they can't
Yeah, I think I just had
imagine.
a reaction to that. I don't think I ever felt not in pain. I mean, it. Yeah.
You've never come to one with the pump before.
No, I didn't.
Um,
You didn't exist.
like what? Like we do not let people leave in pain. And the thing is that some people will say like it's just me. It's this. I. It's not. Like there
Yeah.
are things that we can do, but you just don't know. And the truth is that how are you supposed to know not to put it on 24/7? Did anyone
No.
tell you what to do with the nipple shield, or did they throw it at you and say, "Here you go"?
Throw it at you. I looked like like a what is it called? Like those robots.
I
It
know,
was
yeah,
had like
they're
seven
like
boobs.
sticking out at you. But they don't tell you anything. They don't tell you that you have to clean it. It's like you don't even know anything. Happens to be even nipple shields have come so far. They now make them colored so you don't lose them anymore instead of just clear. And
Hmm.
also, like a really big tip for my nipple shield moms is you can't keep it on 24/7 because you have to clean it, but you can keep a clean one on the side of your bra. So it's still
Oh,
always in there as like a just in case because my son wore we used a nipple shield for 7 months with him, so
wow.
I'm like very familiar with nipple shields, and when you forget it, it's a really big problem. So
Yeah.
I'm with you. But the biggest thing I'll say that if you are using a nipple shield, you need to get education with everything with breastfeeding.
Yeah.
You need to get educated. Here's what I say: like these things do not come natural. People think that the baby leaves your vagina and then suddenly you are a breast or leaves your stomach, however they leave. You
All
are
right.
suddenly a breastfeeding expert.
All
Like
right.
you do not get an
Like
education.
it's the most natural thing in the world.
It is the least natural thing I've ever been through. Like, it
All
is
right.
honestly the least natural thing I have ever been through. I had no idea what I was doing. No one else around me knew what they were doing.
Right.
And that's the thing is like, we don't trust ourselves. We don't trust our own instincts. We don't know who to trust. It's just pure chaos.
It is
And
chaos.
it's very overwhelming. It's so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, and that's why I mean, first I give us moms credit who were able
Oh,
to do it, not shaming those who can't, because I
yeah.
recognize so many things that can be involved in. And thank God babies can be healthy in either way. But
Yep.
it's just a matter of also, I think when like especially my first child, I was still in the personality, like not feeling like I could ask for support
Yeah.
or feeling like I'm supposed to know what to do and
Right.
not thinking you need it. It's for first time moms or any moms, every little bit of help is a help. I find that we
Oh,
justify it and say, or like rationalize it. No, 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 we're fine though. Like just that is going to change. I'm already dealing with this and I already have a second kid running around and no, like this is its own thing. If you get it smooth sailing, it's a thing off your plate.
100%. I say this in two separate ways. I say this as one of like, I know people have used this terminology before of like, it's like a rubber band, and it's like you think that you can only handle this much, but then once you have another kid, you're able to expand. And the
Hmm.
other part of it, so yeah, you are able to expand, and that's why moms that have 3 kids that have to go to the grocery store with one kid feels like a vacation and a dream, which is amazing. However, I am a very, very large advocate of self care because just because you could doesn't mean you should.
Right.
I I will take all the help that I can get. My mom gets daily to weekly phone calls where I'm like, I need help tonight. I
Hmm.
need to go out to eat with my husband. I haven't spoken to him in 3 weeks. Like, I put things on top priority because if you are not happy, no one around you is happy. If
Right.
you have not gotten a massage or a manicure or a movie, yes, I know for some of you you're laughing thinking about ever doing that. I have 2 yearly solo vacations by myself twice a year. I'm doing it in August. I do it in the summer and I do it in the winter, where I go to a hotel. I start off the day. I get a massage, a mani pedi, a movie by myself. I get dinner, I bring it to a hotel. The next morning I wake up, I go out to breakfast by myself. I do one more thing shopping, usually home goods, and then I go home. I do a 24-hour reset, and everyone around me is happier. So
Wow.
every time I do it, people are like, how do you do that? That's crazy.
You
I
just
do
need to
it.
do it.
I do it for them. And you know
Yeah.
what? My husband, he's a dad. He can
Yeah.
watch their children. He can watch his children. He
Right.
will be fine. They will survive. And I come home happier. So exactly what you're saying, Beth. Like we say that we do these things and we are like, we're fine, we're fine. You are not fine.
Hmm.
You are not fine. And even if you're fine right now, you're not going to be fine in a few months if
Right.
you don't take care of yourself. If
Right.
someone wants to know what they can do, let them pick up your kids from carpool. Let them make you dinner. Let them order you a pizza. Let them invite you for a Shabbos meal or drop off, food for you for the weekends. Like, let them come and wash your pump parts.
Hmm.
Whatever it is, if they're looking for help, I just gave you 5 things that you can tell them. Because when you say nothing, they do nothing. When you say, you know what, it would be really helpful if you could pick up my kids today from school so that I could just have that extra hour to just sit at home. Do it.
That is key. That's even a separate key point of asking, because people don't always know how to help, and just being
Yeah.
more clear about what you can.
Yeah.
And exactly your point, over the years things just get very draining, and it you get burnt out at some point. Everybody does, by just
Yeah.
saying I could take everything on, because you need time. I would challenge people, maybe this is a tip for them, next time they feel like saying, oh no, I don't need that, no, I'm okay, actually pause and say, you know what, thank you, I'll take that, and then see
Yeah.
how it feels. Then see how it feels. Don't
Exactly.
assume before. You probably have to allow it in, and then see, like, wow, that actually was
Yeah.
the biggest difference.
And also think about like if that person was in the opposite situation, how would you feel about helping them? Because I have friends that say no, 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 and I'm like, please, I
Mm-hmm.
am begging you to let me help. Like, and I very genuinely want to help. And it's like, and I sometimes like, if my friend doesn't want me to help her, I'll be like, but if I asked this of you, wouldn't you do it? And she'd be like, she was like, in a second. And I'm like,
Right.
then what are you saying right now? Think
Right.
about like if it was the opposite, if you don't want to take the help, would you want to help that person? Think about it that way.
Yeah. So true. I'm so proud of you for
Oh,
doing that.
I
I love
give
those
help
self-care
all the time.
days. All
I
about those.
help everywhere that I can. That's
That's
how I
amazing.
survive.
Yeah, also your energy, your whole energy, like, exudes like just a nice space, so you cultivate that space,
Thank you. I
that
appreciate
takes
that. And
work.
I appreciate it and I really protect it because when I find myself no longer able to have this energy, something's up. It's
Yes.
always like something's up and I'm like, I gotta fix something. Instead
Yeah.
of just sitting around, I'm like, no, I'm literally booking myself a massage.
Yeah, do you feel you were always like that? Because that's really special.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I definitely, I've always been confident and positive. I became a lot more positive after I quit teaching, just because now like I run my own schedule and it's just very, very difficult to live on it. Being a teacher, I literally think I cannot imagine a harder job than being a teacher. It's just so hard. So once I quit teaching, I definitely was able to see life very differently. And like I just value my time in such a different way that I ever have. That like I had for the years that I was a teacher, specifically like the last year before I quit to do One with the Pump full time, I was literally miserable and like had postpartum depression for a full year and did nothing about it. And now like I will not let myself ever get back to that. So now that I have the ability to be like, oh no, this is happening, like we're gonna do it. I'm allowed to take the day off and go get a massage. I do that. So that's been very helpful.
Right. Yeah, sometimes, like you said, you always had sort of that baseline of feeling positivity, but when something
Yeah,
sort of comes up, like postpartum depression, whatever,
yeah,
you recognize the need,
yeah,
and then not only not to get back there, but how not to get back there, and then it's just
exactly.
the way it is.
Yeah, it's very important just to take care of yourself. It's
Yeah.
highly
I have a
recommend.
fun, not fun story, because I saw you post someone, you were like, everyone's contacting me, and it was about getting stopped with breast milk at the airport. So that, I just wanted to share, that happened
Oh,
with me.
yeah.
I went to Costa Rica, and it was a trip I actually was invited to. So I'm like, I'm not missing this, but it was,
Oh,
I'd
that's
never go
fun.
away from the boob. Like, I never,
Nice,
and I'm not the type.
nice goal here for me to be invited to a trip. You've heard it here. I'm manifesting this
Oh
on
yeah,
this podcast.
this is like before it was even a thing. It was really
Yeah,
special. Now
yeah,
it's not, meaning it's more of a thing to be
yeah,
collaborate or
yeah,
pitch,
yeah,
but
yeah.
then it's really special.
Totally.
And so, right, so I'm not going to turn that down. But I have this. I'm not the type that goes on a vacation with their child. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I
Oh,
can't do it.
never,
I can't.
never.
I need to leave the kid at home, or But I said, that's it. I'm committed to breastfeeding. I think she was only 3 months. This is my sixth, so I had a little bit.
Yeah,
So I said, okay, I'm gonna pump. I'm gonna do this. I was only
yeah,
going 3 days, so I was like, okay, I could do it. And in the back of my mind, I said, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I don't want to be too hard on myself. But I
yeah,
got every pump in the world was my luggage.
yeah.
I got the the at the time it was the Alfie. I'm sure there's all
Okay,
new
yeah,
ones these days. And
yeah,
there's when they
yeah.
were like, when they didn't really work. You had to send them back because it was like very
Yep,
new.
yep.
And then I also brought my
Medela, yeah, yeah,
Medela, huge
yeah.
luggage. I
Huge,
had all the
huge.
stuff. And it was glamping, I didn't mention, so there was no refrigeration. So I had to walk a mile, like, to a refrigerator
Yeah.
every night. I was
Oh
so
my
committed.
God.
And then I froze them all, luckily, um, in the freezer. The night, in the freezer, I was freezing them. And the night before I froze, but it gets liquidy as you're
Yeah.
traveling. It's not going to stay.
Yeah.
So and I'm psyched. It's liquid gold. When you have that display, it's like, ah,
Oh, it's
you open the
literally
fridge and there's
amazing. Like,
all these big.
unbelievable.
So I go with all of them and like all I care about is that. I don't even remember if I brought
Yeah.
clothes. Like that's what I had. Because also you're all postpartum, you don't care what you look like anyway. It was just very
Yeah,
funny.
totally.
And I get to the security, they stop me, and then they take it. They're like, "Oh, what's it?" I'm like, "Oh my god, you as a mom, like you have a breakdown. You are like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
are not touching my milk. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
need my child."
Yes.
So they had to touch it. They took a swab of something to put
Okay.
in to test that it was, I guess,
Oh,
not poison. So
yeah.
I just said, okay, I'll sacrifice one bag. I did that, and then they let me go with the rest. Like the rest couldn't be secret poison,
Okay.
like
Fine. Sure. What I tell moms to do now, and also, listen, it really depends on like where you're coming from, what country you're in, where you're going. But I tell people to like tell them to pour it out into something else so they're not sticking something directly inside of the bottle.
yeah,
Listen, it also it's just depending. I truly believe it just depends on like what agent you have. If that agent has a bad day, there's nothing you
yeah.
can like,
Because
you're
it's
done.
so obviously breast milk. I mean, no, I recognize. Look, they have a place. I mean, they're a security, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's breast milk, and it
Yes.
smelled, and it was a mess. It was disgusting. It was all over the place. And but no, so it's really hard. The pumping aspect of it is hard, and I hear moms juggling work and pumping. How do you help them juggle, like with the
Yeah.
juggle?
Well, I was gonna ask you when you went there, had you pumped before? Or that was your first experience
I
pumping.
pumped. I would say like so. I had all my other kids, and I breastfed them
Right.
all different various amounts of time. I pumped, but never as like a job. Like just
Yeah.
more in the early stages where you're producing so much. So for me, it was easier. Remember, I said it was always painful for me. So when I was
Right.
like engorged, I'm like, oh, I might as well pump the rest
Yeah.
out. And so in
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
beginning, I did just to have some bottles, but I never. I don't feel I ever did pumping right. Like I probably could have utilized it to be a little more free,
Yeah.
flexible with my schedule, not free. But
Yeah. Well, no, I say free sometimes. It
so
depends.
before that, I never pumped full time like that. I was
Right.
impressed. And by
Right.
the way, I felt I got fuller
Yeah.
because I was so paranoid that I was pumping like every 2 hours. I was
Oh,
so,
interesting. Interesting.
yeah.
That sometimes can happen where it's like a mom is only nursing and then she'll go back to work. And then it's like you're at work for like 7, 8 hours and you suddenly have to pump multiple times and you're like, oh my God, like this is what am I doing? I'm not getting any milk. The biggest thing that I tell moms to do, number one, obviously um I have a course just to teach you literally how to go back to work. It's called Back to Work and Bottle Prep, and it literally
Oh,
teaches you
that's such a great
not,
course.
not only just how to go back to work, but also how to prep your bottles at home. It's both in one because moms need that. So number one, I have that available for moms because it's so difficult. And one
Wow.
of the biggest things that I say, just a quick tip that I'll give you from the course, basically that I say is do not let your first day at work be your first day picking up that pump. Because number one, going back to work by itself is stressful enough. You're used to either nursing on your couch, or let's say you are an exclusive pumper, you're used to nursing on your couch. You're used to then, whatever it is, you're used to your own environment. And then suddenly you're in this stuffy, if you're lucky, you have a lactation room. If you're in corporate, you have a fancy lactation room. If you're like me and you're a teacher, you're pumping in a back alley closet.
Oh my God. I pumped
You
in
know,
the craziest places
the
slash
crazy places
in front of everyone.
legally they have to give you a place that's not a bathroom, but I'm sure plenty of people listening to
I
this
was on floors of bathrooms everywhere
yeah,
in the
are
world.
working at places that are not doing the legal thing where they are going ahead and forcing these moms to pump in the bathroom. And it's horrible and it's incredibly unsanitary. And it's just awful. I'll send me your employer name. I'll have my way with them. But that's
Yeah.
beside the point. But either way, you go back and you have no idea what you're doing. You're so stressed out. You can't get any milk out. And it's very, very stressful. So the biggest thing I say is do not let your first day back at work be the first time that you're using a pump or the first day that your baby is using a bottle. Because I will never forget when a coworker came back on her first day and she came to me and she's like, my mom just called me. My baby is screaming. She hasn't eaten. It was like 2 o'clock at that point. The baby hasn't eaten since like 6 a.m. And I was like, well, what is she doing with bottles? And she was like, no, this is her first time.
Oh,
And I'm like, well, I'm so not an I told you so person. Like, I will
all right.
never say that. So I obviously didn't. But in my head, I was like, girlfriend,
I told you so.
like what's doing here?
Right.
What's good in the world? Come on, girl.
Yeah.
So do not do that. get the tips before. Make sure you're using the right bottles. Make sure you're on the right schedule. Make sure you know what you're doing, and that is going to make a massive change. And number one, if you're a pumping mom, if you're a nursing mom, it's so good to know how to work your pump because Beth, you said before like a break, and then you said not a break. Like sometimes, for some people, they think that nursing is a break, and for some people, pumping is a break. It really
Hmm.
depends on what you feel. But I was always more comfortable pumping because I pumped for my first two kids and I nursed my third. So for me, pumping really was a break. Like I was like, I'm gonna take a break right now and I'm just gonna pump and I'm not gonna deal because I have a lot of like anxiety with nursing. For some people, pumping is absolutely not a break, but it's just good to have it. Let's say you need to go out, or let's say you want to go out, or you want like it's just important for every single breastfeeding mom. And when I say breastfeeding, I always mean nursing or pumping to know how to work their breast pump. That means have the
Hmm.
right flange size for my YouTube people that are watching the plastic shield, that is a flange, and they come in sizes, guys. It is not one size
Not
fits
one or two.
literally. My consultant just sized someone that started at 24 and ended up in a 10. That
Oh
means
my god! I'm
for
crying for myself. I'm crying for my like little Beth.
for reference, guys, that means that she's basically like she's wearing a size 10 shoe and she's a size 5 shoe.
Oh my
Like, can
god!
you imagine what that's doing to her feet or her nipples? You know what I'm saying?
Right?
So
Yeah.
size matters, people. Size
Oh.
matters.
Oh my god, that's crazy. Um,
Crazy.
we're coming to the end of this. I wonder what message we could send to people about breastfeeding, their journey, self care.
I have a lot. Beth, I have a lot of
I know
messages.
that's why I left us 5 minutes. I could
Yeah,
tell.
I have a lot of messages because I myself have been through a lot, and I've helped over like 3,000 moms at this point who have also all been through a lot. And the biggest headline that I will always say and I will always stick to is that there's nothing that anyone in the world needs more than a happy and healthy mommy.
Hmm.
So whether your dream is to nurse or to pump or to do a combo, whatever it is, nothing is worth your mental health. Nothing is worth your relationship. Your baby needs you more than they need their breast milk. And I completely understand and validate the grief that comes with not thinking that your journey is going to go one way and really goes another way. For me it was I really wanted to nurse and I ended up pumping. For some people it's they want to nurse or pump but they just don't have a milk supply. They think that they have to give their baby formula or their baby's going to starve. There's so much grief that could be surrounded here. There's so much here that just could be stressful. And the biggest thing is for you to know is that as long as you are choosing your mental health and the emotional health, your babies will thank you. And I
Yeah.
always say it is, again, this is all like wrapped up in my one message that
Yeah.
it is more selfish to continue pumping or nursing if it is negatively affecting the rest of your family, yourself, and your baby. Because people think that they're selfish for stopping. You're actually more selfish for going into a spiral of postpartum depression because you want to breastfeed when all your baby want is any sort of nourishment, and they would rather you stop because you're making however many ounces you're making, you're so unhappy, and they just want their happy mom. So always, by choosing yourself and your mental health, you're actually choosing your baby and the rest of your family and the rest of your kids. So really keep that in mind. Mother's mental health is always, always first. And that is
Yeah.
always the message. Always.
Um, I love that. It's just crazy how much shame comes with stuff
Crazy.
and how it's
Crazy.
important to just start the conversation even and talking about it. That's why I love this podcast and you
Yeah.
coming on and all this is because
Yeah. I always
it
say no one's going to ask you how your baby's fed after a year. They're all just annoying toddlers. They're all the same.
yeah.
You know,
Right.
I taught 3 year olds. They were all annoying. I have no idea who was breastfed and who was not. They're all annoying.
Yeah.
So, and delicious and cute. Can you see
All
that?
right. Of course. That comes along with it. I love it. Okay. So to let people know how to find you on Instagram, your social handles, also your courses.
Yes, so you can find for any sort of pumping information that you need, pumping support, you can check out one with the pump at onewiththepump.com. We have many options for digital courses. We have one large bundle and we have a bunch of smaller courses if you're just looking for something small. We have consultants ready and able to help you with a large variety of time zones and calendars. Because I want that if you wake up that morning and you are like, I need help, that you can get help that night. So we have a lot of options and we have a lot of openings. And you can always also check out tamarijacob.com, where you can find any information about working with me, whether it's collaborating, whether it's speaking, anything like that. I want to be able to help you and be there for you, whatever it is that you need. So please come find me, come hang out, and we're going to have a good time.
I love that. Well, I already had a good time on this podcast, so I'm sure the fun
Thank
only
you for having
continues.
me. We
And the
can have
experience should be
listeners.
fun. Yeah, the experience should be fun. So I love that. Thanks for
Thank you
coming
so much for
on.
having me, Beth.
All right. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Nourished by Beth, or watch and subscribe on YouTube at Secrets to Mindful Health.